Hello, Rodney.
Hello, Gary. How are you?
Man, I'm good. Sunday night.
Sunday night.
We're back on Sunday.
Yeah, back on Sunday. I see our Facebook blowing up too, so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Turn that down. How was your week? It's like you got some stuff done on your car.
A little bit, not as much as I should have, but
that always happens.
Yeah, that one night I didn't do anything. I think there was a couple nights that I didn't do anything, and that's how it goes. But
that's how it goes, man. I saw your intake. That looks awesome, man. Where you welded that and put that on.
Yep.
You got a talent, my friend.
Thank you. Just keep plugging away at it.
Right on. So what else happened this week? I think we heard some stuff about a little track up a little bit northeast there in Kansas City, the Flying J.
The Flying H.
Flying H. Sorry about
Flying J is a truck stop.
Hey, that's right.
Yep. There's been some chatter and talk going on there in a message group that you and I are in, and some other people, Keith is, and a bunch of Kansas City guys.
Yeah.
Lots of chatter going on about the small tire stuff. Just getting those pieces put together and getting the rules sorted out. They had a meeting this week, and they got a schedule out this week. And man, that's someplace we need to. That's the place we need to go this year sometime.
No, that's great. I plan on making it up there. Hopefully, there's a class I can fit in. I haven't seen the real rules, but I've seen some chatter rules, so we'll see how it plays out. That sort of thing. But yeah, cool.
Yep, it'll be cool to get on a new track, a different track, and race around a whole. Some of the guys we race with poet Travis Gore and some of them guys from Kansas City, but I'm sure Tim Webb's gonna go there and Chopper probably go, and so looks like a really cool place.
Nothing but a good time. I saw they're maybe getting. I thought I saw No Preps Kings on their schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember the date.
That's all right.
I'm not even gonna guess, but that'll be cool.
It will be cool. So let's talk about tonight.
Man.
Let's talk about tonight, man. We got a legend coming in here. Golly.
Kicking off 2024 with a super duper superstar.
Yeah.
I think.
I do, man. I've been following Derrick for a few years now, since like 17, 18, when he's doing streetcar shootouts and other little things. And of course, this car will bring him on and talk to him about that. And we actually got the opportunity to meet him. So yeah, let's bring him in whenever you're ready.
Yep. All right. Here we go, everybody. There is Mr. Derrick Kelly. Hey, Derrick.
What's going on?
Man, how you doing?
Good. How are we doing tonight?
Good.
I'm good. Doing good.
Good. We appreciate you taking the time to hang out with us for however long it takes tonight.
Hey, no problem. Not much racing going on and not much shop work going on. So glad to be on here.
Yep.
Good.
No, that's good stuff. So, like we were saying on the intro, Derrick, been following you a little bit. Got the opportunity to go to come to one of your classes a year ago, and had a great time there. I'm always talking about how much I learned going through that class, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Gary and I going to Noble and just hanging out for the day. But we, got the opportunity to run into you at PRI and ask you if you want to come on the show, and you graciously said yes. So we're just going to come in and talk to you a little bit about, your racing career, take it to the left, and how you kind of do things, and and all the way up to what you got planned in 2024. Does that sound cool?
Yep, sounds good.
Cool.
Sounds good. All right. So I always ask the same question, always to the left. So what kind of car did you drive around in high school? What would you think would be your first race car?
Well, if you've seen the guy that had the junky little pickup truck that was like about to fall apart, that was me. That was
that you?
Yeah, I'm the one that went to the races and watched y'all race. But yeah, I didn't have anything to race, or I wasn't about any of that. I was about it, but my pocketbook wasn't about it. So I pretended my little pickup was fast, and but yeah, just kind of put my stuff on hold until I could afford it, and that was many years down the road. So, and then, once we got going, I had to make up for lost time. So once I got racing, that's all I wanted to do.
So in your head, like when you were watching from the sideline or maybe building that first car, did you have, you know, 2 or 3 guys that were like, man, that I'm kind of going to watch what this person does or watch what that person does or anything like that?
Yeah. And so many of y'all know Big George. It goes with me a lot. So Big George was the one with the hot rod in high school. He was the one out there street racing. He was the one out there wrenching on stuff. He was the one getting 75 tickets for drag racing on public highway.
What do you have?
And you name it, he had it.
Oh, okay.
Just a bunch of random stuff that he would grab and build and work on. But yeah, a lot of good times. I just was fully in spectator mode those years. I mean, I loved it, but that's all I could be, was just, you know, on the sidelines. So,
How old was you then? How old was you?
that was all the way till my mid-20s. Yeah, watching all them boys, Mel Collier, a bunch of the local guys, you know, racing, street racing, racing at Centerville. I remember going to Centerville, just watching them. Matter of fact, I even took my little pickup out there and made some passes. You know, I was not too ashamed to just get out there and have some fun. So
Sure.
yeah, that was me. Very first kind of hot rodding I did was actually sand drags at Winoka. I had a 4-wheeler, and you know, we'd go riding and jumping and trail riding, and all I wanted to do was drag race. You know, once I got something with a little bit of speed, I was like, y'all go ride trails. I want to just drag race all day, and just any opportunity I could. It's just what I love doing. So
Right on.
Here we are.
So what would, you know, you talked about the truck and that sort of thing and taking it down the track. What would you say your first like real fast car was?
First fast car I would say was 2011. I bought a Camaro SS. Always wanted a first gen. Again, wasn't ever gonna get a first gen, so I got a 2012 Camaro SS. Yeah, there it is, right there.
There it is.
45th anniversary. And I think I made it all the way to about 18,000 miles before it got its first blower. And rear gears and that kind of stuff. Went through a couple different blower setups, twin turbo setups, put a big Lingenfelter rear end under it, thought I was going to go drag racing, big nasty clutch, all that kind of stuff. I think it took maybe 3 passes to break the rear end and some of that stuff. And I'm thinking, you know what, this ain't working out. And actually street raced a buddy one night in Mexico, of course. We were out one night and I met a dude with a red Fox body named Jeff Spear. And he wanted to race me in my Camaro that night. And I'm like, well, I ain't racing you from a dig, so we can go from a roll. And that dude, I jumped out on him, and that dude come around me like through the ditch and through the bushes and started putting bus links. He put buses on me at about 150 mile an hour. And I was thinking, you know what, I probably need to look into those Fox bodies because that looks way more fast and practical than what I got going on. So that next October bought a blue car that is now what I race today.
Right on. There's a saying, can't beat them, join them, you know.
That ugly setup is my first attempt at a drag racing setup. That is a stock 5.3 with head studs and a cam and a stock glide and a Borg Warner 84 millimeter. And we ran that sucker on 93 octane and alky control injection. And I raced that 2015. Matter of fact, the very first pass that I put in the car was at Streetcar Takeover in 2015. I think I went like an 1140 or nope, that's the second pass. I got a helmet on that pass.
Okay, there's
the first pass in Bam Bam.
And no helmet.
Ever. First pass ever. Right there. Yes, no helmet. I think I went like an 11:20 or 11:40 in the quarter that pass. Got loose at like 1,000 foot and scared the crap out of me.
Right on.
So not only did I get ready for the next pass, I also put a helmet on. I think we went like 9:40 the next pass.
Oh my goodness, that's rolling.
Yeah, we turned it up a hair. It went 9:20s, 9:40s, I think, by the end of the night. But yeah, first pass in the car was at Streetcar Takeover, Oklahoma City, 2015.
Wow.
So a quick question for you. Where did the name Bam Bam come from?
Well, my black car is named Betty, and so that was her little son, Bam Bam. And it just stuck. The guy that was helping me tune the car at the time, he come up with it and just stuck.
It is, man. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Did you buy a roller or did you?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I bought that car. As you see it there, it had a 10-point cage. It was just stock 8.8 10-point cage. It originally had a small block Chevy nitrous setup in it.
Okay.
And I didn't know anything about nitrous. I knew less about turbo, but we went ahead and just did a stock 5.3 with a turbo because that's what the internet said to do. But
you didn't run the Chevy and nitrous combo at all?
Nope.
Man.
So yeah, just started bought the roller in 2014. Just started collecting parts. And I think we fired that sucker off like April or May of 15, and took it to Streetcar Takeover. Nothing like making your first attempt at a drag racing in a Fox body in front of a couple 2,000 or 3,000 people.
Sure.
So
was that a glide or what kind of ECU did you have?
That was stock ECU. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was HP tuners.
HP.
Yeah, HP tuners and a boost leash. That was something else. Matter of fact, first time I met Blake Hughes, I think it was at Streetcar Takeover. And I'm the dumbass coming up to him asking questions because he's over there with his fancy Holly with Krusty Nova, and
Yep.
I'm all like, I'm all fanboying and telling him about my stock ECU 5.3 car, and he's like, "Get away from me, you little peasant!" And so it just kind of, it's what I had. We raced it all that year, and then I think the next spring, I actually built a motor for the car, a built 5.3, and then I had an alternator fail, and torched the motor, and I started learning about Holley EFI with the ability to control AFR and timing and all this stuff. And I thought, well, that sounds like a no-brainer. So I ordered me a Holley and started learning the Holley EFI way of life. And looking back,
what would you say towards Holley back in the day when we have all this other, program we can run?
Look me towards the Holley.
Yeah.
Well, at the time, that was about it. It was either Holley or Mega Squirt. And I didn't even like the name Mega Squirt. So I went with Holley.
That's great. That's great. And so after you got the Holley on, is that where you, the next year you went to over to the alcohol? How long did you run the alcohol?
Nope. I ran the Holley 2016. And then, swapped to the air to water with the built 5.3 with the Holley operated. And then 2017 is whenever we made the alcohol swap. And still rock the alcohol, or the Holley setup, Holley HP. And 2017 was a huge learning year for me. I knew one person that ran LS on alcohol in the world, and his name was Travis Cannon out of OKC.
He's watching right now.
And that son of a bitch watched me blow my heads off my motor like 6 weekends in a row. And there's one right there. So, that's something I know. Fast forward to, several years later, the struggle I went through with trying to tune alcohol and EFI and timing and, all that, trying to do it yourself, trying to make an engine live. That was all kind of, hindsight was the reason why I wanted to offer classes and work with people and people getting into racing because, Travis Cannon is a very competitive guy. So, he was 100%, he was 100% okay watching me struggle. That son of a bitch. But, I was just running the car too hard, too much timing, too lean. Didn't know anything about cylinder to cylinder tuning and all that kind of stuff. And, but yeah, there, 6 weekends in a row, I would torch it on Saturday. I would pull the heads on Sunday. I would have them welded up at the machine shop and welded up by like Tuesday or Wednesday. Thursday, I'd be reassembling. Thursday night, final assembly. Friday, Saturday, racing again, usually torching it again and repeating that cycle. I did that 6 weeks in a row trying to figure out alcohol. Bless that little motor's heart. So, yeah, 2017 was a tough year. It was a very tough year, but it was. I learned a lot about engines and tuning and what to do, what not to do, and it really gave me later the motivation to just want to teach other people. So to save them the time, the headache, the money, the expenses. That was really the big motivator behind later on down the road doing classes and trying to help people out. So. Because I know I always wished I had that person that would have done that for me, but I didn't, and I just kept trying things.
Yeah, well, I know I appreciate you. Once I went through your class, I learned a ton, and we'll get to that in 4 minutes. But during that time, were you doing mostly no prep racing?
Yes. Yeah, I was mostly no prep racing. I think 2017. I'm trying to think. I was racing a lot of like Conquer the Concrete events back then. Redemption No Prep series back then was Shannon Morgan. That was a huge series back in the day. Matter of fact, yeah, I believe that was my first official no prep win. I had some notes here just because I get a little foggy now and then. But I was on the struggle bus with alcohol. I remember just weekend after weekend struggling. Me and my buddy raced down Wichita Falls at it was a kind of a semi no prep event. And I told Jeff, he was the one racing. I said, the race promoters with No Prep Association were there and, we're putting on a race in New York. Y'all should come. And I'm like, New York, what? And, my buddy Jeff, of course, wanted to go because he's down to race all over the country. And I said, I'll tell you what, if my engine lives and I don't have to pull these heads off this weekend and it finally lives, we'll go to New York. And lo and behold, it lived. And I remember we headed out that next Thursday morning to New York to race they had the Race the North series. No prep series. Birdman and a bunch of them was up there, and me and Jeff went all the way up there, raced True Street, and actually won the event. And of course, if I won at an event that Jeff was at, that meant something happened to Jeff catastrophically or something, because Jeff always won. It was not my job to win, but ended up winning that one. He broke a rear gear, I believe, in first or second round, and I won that race in New York, and then ended up, I think 2 weeks later, won that Redemption 8.0 True Street event with Shannon Morgan. So mostly no prep. 2017, learning alcohol and racing no prep.
Okay.
So,
okay. So then we're moving into 2018. We got a new engine in the works.
Yeah. Yeah. 2018, I had I will not name any names to protect the innocent or not so innocent, but I took the 5.3 out, and I bought a buddy's LSX 388. I had a company that was going to work with me on an engine, and that deal, well, it didn't ever come to fruition. And they're like, oh yeah, we got you, we'll sponsor you an engine, and we got you hooked up and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay. So as you can see, my engine's gone, and I sold it. Well, then that deal fell through. I guess one of their sponsored racers needed it a little more so than I did, and I did not get that engine. So luckily, my buddy, one of my buddies, had built that LSX 388, and that was what I thought. Hey, that's a big boy motor. I've been rocking this 5.3, trying to learn alcohol and all this stuff, and because I never did want to put like a nasty motor in there, something actually, a lot of money in, that, and risk hurting it with alcohol tuning and trying to figure everything out. So 2018, I had to have a motor. I picked up that 388 LSX, took it to the track. First weekend out in 2018, it first pass, it actually boost crept on accident, and I went a personal best my first weekend, first pass. And I was like, well, that's stupid. And because I had been fighting that little 5.3 for 3 years, and then beat my personal best on accident very first pass. So that was interesting.
Now, are you still running a Powerglide at this time, or did you?
Yep, still Powerglide. At that time, I think I was still running a PTC Powerglide built 158 ratio. Okay. I ran that for a long time. I ran that for 2 or 3 years, actually. So 2018 though was more no prep. Actually, ended up racing. I believe it was fairly early in the year. Raced American Outlaws Live. Got to meet Casey Rance, and y'all know Casey Rance by chance? Seen him around?
Yep.
So between Casey Rance and Jeff Spear, they just kicked my butt all over the place. Matter of fact, 2018, Jeff and Casey both beat me so many times and split the finals with me that they were fighting over who was gonna claim me as a dependent on their taxes that year.
That's awesome.
So, but no, that's no joke. I met Casey at American Outlaws Live, and that was a race, before Street Outlaws, really got crazy, and a bunch of those guys was there, and they put together a true street class. And I think they had like 64 of us down there. And not only was that the first weekend I met Casey Rance, but we also went to, I think, made it down to the final 4 cars, and he and I both had to like fight our way in. They're like, we don't know you, you're nobody, and it was this big invitational race, and it was hard to get in. And Casey actually went on to win it, and we've been buddies ever since. So we've raced a lot of times. There he is right there. That was 2018 Armageddon. I raced Casey in the finals, and we were racing, I think, for $20,000 that night. And so luckily, he was still claiming me as a dependent on his taxes. So I got a chunk of that 20,000, but he still kicked my ass. But it was a good time. It was a good.
He hauled on the big check, huh?
Yeah, he got the winner's photo. I got the 1099 miscellaneous. But yeah, and after that Armageddon race is we took a trip to Memphis, and that's whenever I got a good taste at prep racing. And I was like, I kind of like that prep stuff. And the Memphis track was pretty nasty there for a while. J-Bo was managing it a little while from Holly Springs, and I can't remember if he was there at that time, but the track was on point. We had an event over there, and I ended up racing one of my buddies from Alabama at that event. And that was my first real taste of throwing some power down and seeing what the car would do, and actually, feeling the horsepower a little bit instead of, babying it down a no prep surface. So
what tire was you using on that prep stuff?
I was always on pro radial, because even in the no prep, I was racing Outlaw Street and True Street, and even in those no prep days, I always ran a radial pro. The only time I ever ran anything like a slick bias tread was Conquer the Concrete or some street racing. I raced with the NOLA Street Outlaws show one night. We, you know, put a slick on it for that. You know, anything like real bad surface wise, I'd get on a slick. But all the track event, no prep stuff, I would be racing the Radial Pro in the street classes. So just kind of, I was on that tire from the get go, and just never have got off of it. So
do you treat it like a radial, or you treat it like a slick? Or a mix
treat
of
like
both?
No, like a radial. Just you know, you chatter that thing, it's gone. You had to baby it, and you know, still to this day, I've never ran traction control, so you had to have a very good right foot on the pedal, and a tune up that was in the ballpark, and just it was always a challenge running that tire, you know, and just never got away from it. So, and then once we started racing more and more prep stuff, especially in 2019, there wasn't really any reason to run anything else. So, 2019, I you know, was starting to go faster, and I was like, I need to start maybe upgrading this hunk of junk. It was still stock boxes and 10-point cage at that time, and we were making some horsepower, and you know, that thing was starting to wrinkle up so bad. Yeah, that was right there is 2018 winter. We decided we're going to finally rip that thing apart. And I remember on like a full hard pass at, you know, Texas track or something, throwing all the boost at it, you know, 40, 50, 55 pounds of boost, you know, it would start wrinkling up so bad. I remember having to like drive the car a half a turn just to try to go straight. And, you know, and I'd always point at the left wall just to make it, you know, down the track. So 2000 winter 2018, spring 2019, that's when we tore the car completely apart and kind of got serious with it. So,
Rodney has found some wrinkled, ugly, tore up sheet metal with his car at Keith's doing the Marilette stuff and getting rid of the stock stuff. It was pretty ugly over there with the stock sheet metal. It was pretty bad.
I had the same stuff, Rodney.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. We had to call the specialists in a couple of weeks just to patch us up to get to the next race there during the season. So yeah.
Were you starting to feel it a lot in the steering wheel? Were you starting to feel the car like tweak a lot, or?
Yeah, and it was real inconsistent too.
Yeah,
and make a straight good pass, and the next thing you know, just driving left, and you're just like, what's going on, you know? And absolutely.
It'd make a good pass, and it's like, cool, it's good, and then the next pass would be, what's this thing doing? You know, it just it wasn't consistent.
But, you know, those 1991 Bud Light cans just aren't made for that.
They're not.
So, as you can see, they weren't quite intended for that. As you can see, Travis Ball Metal Fab, he was thinking, well, let's just cut the roof off this mother effort, and because the cage that was in it was good cage, and it's not like we wanted to completely. Oh God, that's ugly. But you know,
that's a dune buggy now.
That's some serious.
You're gonna load this back, take it back to Oklahoma at the dunes.
Yeah, no kidding. Take that thing up freaking China Wall or something. So Travis jumped on it. I think I took it over there like New Year's Eve, and I think within like 24 hours, I had a picture of my car with no roof. And you know, he got after. Whose
car is that?
Yeah.
Ooh,
and but ultimately I knew it would be worth it. You know, we still left all the factory floor and the mini tubs and all that stuff. Did the 25.3 above the floor, as you can see. But Travis he knocked it out of the park with that. We started going through the car, and new body parts, got a Motor City front nose cone on it, and got the hood fitted up finally. Just started piecing it together, and threw some paint on it. 2019, I think we had in the paint shop about 20 days or so. Actually painted it the wrong color. You see that?
Oh,
that is not Bam Bam's color. And I show up a little too dark. I showed up at the paint shop and I'm like, bro,
You had the whole,
and
you
this
have the
was,
whole thing painted and done.
no, everything that unbolted from the car, we painted first. There's the correct color. I showed up at the buddy shop that's painting it. It wasn't Travis that was painting it, it was another buddy of ours. And I'm like, bro, I just sat there. I sat down and I didn't say anything for like an hour. I'm like, it's the wrong damn color.
Oh,
And I
man.
didn't know what to say. But we got it painted, we got it corrected, got the right paint code. And Bam Bam, as we know, it started coming together. Pretty big transformation. And, I was like, man, this thing's kind of shiny. I just don't know if I want to go no prep racing much anymore. So a lot of different things that just kind of motivated me to stay in, prep racing and just try to keep it shiny for a season or two.
So this
that
picture here is your 388, or do you have a new engine in at this time?
That there is a Mike Lau dart based Brodix headed LS 400 cubic inch, 3 3/4 stroke, 4125 bore. I've always ran around 10.5 to 1 compression. That motor 2019, that setup right there, that's the one that we raced lots of weekends with. That motor, I don't think I had an incident very first let's see here, 2019. That motor, the valve covers never did even come off of it. I think we had about 500 passes on that motor that season.
Wow.
And never pulled it out, never pulled the valve covers off, just raced it. Change oil every now and then.
Are you still running a glide at this point?
Yes, at that point, still a glide. LS 400 based, single turbo. I think that at that time we were running 102 millimeter turbo.
How did you get hooked up with? How and when did you get hooked up with Mike Lau?
So 2017, I had the built 5.3. One of the times I torched it, I'm sure. I finally was like, you know what, I need to take this aluminum block and pitch it. And I wanted something that would hold up a little bit better to the abuse that I was going through. As you know, torching doesn't play friendly with the aluminum block. So I was wanting to switch over to an iron block 5.3. And my local guy actually passed away. He had colon cancer. Buddy of mine, local hot rod shop, engine machine shop. He passed away, and another guy I'd been working with recommended me to Mike Lau. And so 2017, I got hooked up with him, and he started doing the engines. And just as you can see, still hooked up with Mike. He does a great job, does all my engine work. We've tried a bunch of different combos, learning stuff over the years, but Mike just come from a recommendation from a company that I had been working with on engine parts, and they sent me his way after my local dude passed away, unfortunately.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well, I don't know if I read it somewhere, or maybe we were talking about it at the school, but was this the year that you were like 37 weekends that year,
Yes.
24 wins or something crazy?
Yes. 2019, we raced all over the place. We literally, I think 12 or 14 states. We raced 37 weekends. I changed a lot of stuff on the car. Went to Tulsa. I think the first 3 weekends went to Tulsa, shaking the car down. Spent 3 weekends testing, but I was at the track 37 weekends, 2019. And once we got the car, there we go. That was Tulsa, trying to figure that sucker out. Now that was before I had like shock sensors and all kinds of stuff. And you're watching slow motion video, trying to figure out what the car's doing and all that crazy stuff with no data whatsoever, compared to nowadays. But once we got the car sorted out, we just started picking up wins. And I think we finished with I think we won 24 shootouts that year out of the 37 weeks at the track. So
That is getting it, Derrick.
Me and Big George, we raced a lot of weekends that year. Yeah. One of the first big ones, we sorted the car out, and I told my buddy Jeff, I was like, man, you think we got enough confidence in the car to take it down to Texas and race them boys? And he's like, I think so. I was like, okay, well, let's go.
Let's do it.
So that picture there, we were at the Cinco de Mayo race at Ennis, and I raced a little Fox body that night, nitrous, small block Ford. I wasn't big in the Grudge world at that time. I didn't really know cars or setups or who was who, but I made it to the finals that night, and I was making some solid licks. And well, the finals come down to me and a car named Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
And so I'm asking my buddy Jeff, and of course he don't want to freak me out because he don't want to say, "Hey, Derrick, that car's hauling ass, and you better turn this shit up." He didn't want to tell me that, but I'm thinking it's a nitrous car. I mean, how fast could it be? So ended up asking Jeff. I'm like, man, you think I should just turn it down? I mean, it's just a nitrous car. Just play it safe, And Jeff said, I'd leave it alone. And well, ended up racing Silver Surfer that night, and I think I clipped him by like that much. But that was the start of 2019 as far as big wins, and we just started picking them up. All that year was just everything come together. It was an awesome year.
Sounds like it.
I believe that was OKC Streetcar Takeover. First SCT win. I see the T-shirt laying there on the car.
Yeah.
That was also the first year we picked up our first SCT points championship, 2019. And again, SCT's always been kind of people be like, well, you just race SCT. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, my first pass ever in the car was at SCT. So SCT's kind of a little bit of a soft spot for me. And those guys are awesome. They put on a good show, and just a little bit sentimental with SCT events. So
you just entering one class at a time yet at this time?
No, I think I started in 2019, started doubling the classes because we were driving all across the country. We raced in Indianapolis, Charlotte, we raced in Atlanta, we raced all over. And that car, I still had tranny cooler, radiator, everything. And to make it worth our while to drive across the country with diesel, I think was $4.50 a gallon, and we're trying to justify going across the country, all these events every weekend. And so something we started doing was just entering both classes for the quarter mile and eighth mile classes. And it sounds fun until you start getting down and you're just the classes are back to back. You're making your eighth mile pass, you're coming around. And I believe there was one event I literally was coming down the return road, and my dude's in the water box in the other class, and they're like, come on. And I just roll right in, from the return road, come through the staging lanes, go into the water box, do my burnout, and do my quarter mile class. Wow. And we did that, weekend after weekend after weekend. We're pitting in between in between classes, trying to cool the thing down, but the car was set up to make 2 or 3 passes back to back to back, if need be, because that's what was we justified. If we can have a chance at 2 classes, traveling the country with diesel expenses and everything was more justifiable. Now that weekend there, I would put this weekend up about against probably anybody's weekend as far as a crazy weekend, as far as a challenge. That race that you see there in the pictures, that's Mike Lau right there, by the way. He come up that night. I went up Friday night, and we raced Sharks of the Strip event there at Worldwide Technology Center in outside of St. Louis. And raced that night, and it was kind of a no prep-ish event. And I was like, I don't know. But we went up there, raced those boys. But I was really wanting to make it to a streetcar takeover event in ZMAX, Charlotte, North Carolina. But I wanted to race Friday night there in St. Louis. So I kind of told myself, if I won Friday night, that would pay my diesel to Charlotte and justify me driving on to Charlotte. But the problem was the next morning, the driver's meeting was at noon the next day. And I'm racing Friday night in St. Louis. And so I Googled it or mapped it, whatever you want to call it. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to be loaded up by 12 o'clock, by midnight, to drive through ZMAX to ZMAX, lose an hour with the time change, and make it to the driver's meeting at noon. And I already done the math, calculated stops, how many miles. It was like 11 or 12 hours of driving, or whatever it was, plus the time change. And I said, okay, if I can win this race and be loaded up by 12 o'clock, I can make it. And sure enough, I won the event. I got in my truck, strapped Bam Bam down. I looked at my clock, and it was 11:59. And I rolled out.
Dang.
I rolled out to ZMAX. And I got there, and they let the crews go early. So I didn't get to race the quarter-mile class. I rolled into ZMAX, like literally coming through the pits. Everybody's parked there. There's 600 cars at that event. And I pull up, and the cruise is leaving for the street racer class. And I'm like, well, shit. And so I drove all the way there just to race the one class. And I don't know if you know anything about North Carolina small tire racing, but that scene is very active. And I was podunk dude from Arkansas, way out of my league. And the only class I had to race that day was small tire. So 39 cars battled it out at ZMAX and ended up winning small tire there at ZMAX, Charlotte, North Carolina. So got the win there too, and then headed back. So that was 2,300 miles that weekend in 2 races.
Wow.
So I was tired. Huh?
Yeah. Great story.
Tired. Yeah.
I was tired after that weekend.
Yeah. Is that
I
it
met
right
a
there?
bunch of. Yep, that's ZMAX that night.
2019.
That was 20, I think 25 hours after the winner's photo in St. Louis there.
Right on.
Did it pay for your diesel? Did it work out?
I think I come ahead like a couple $100 maybe. I don't know.
Man.
No, it was good. We still had a good weekend. And it was never trying to make any money. I just wanted to make enough money to maybe get to go racing the next time. And that was just always my outlook on it. And because diesel wasn't free, so I had to win a little bit to go the next time.
Yep.
But it was good. I got to meet some of the boys from North Carolina and Nigel, John out there. Some of the guys that internet buddies, got to race with them in person. That was a good time.
Hey Gary.
Yeah.
Real quick, why don't you grab Craven? There, you got a request.
Yeah. Let me throw this up here. Craven says, "Tell them about the race with Philip."
Oh God. I can't even remember what year that was. He's talking about the year that the Viper was wanting to race me from a roll. Or him from a roll, me from a dig. Craven, we ain't got time for that.
Was this in Texas?
That was in Texas at a streetcar takeover.
I was watching that live that weekend.
Well, you and about 5,000 other people were.
Yep.
You talk about a shit show. That was a shit show there. So that was something that come up. I always kind of thought about, racing somebody. They're coming, from a roll and racing them from a dig. And, I practiced, timing of it, did the math, calculated, their elapsed time, maybe I got my hands on some of those time slips from those kind of cars and those kind of events. And maybe I did the incrementals. But pretty much knew that it was just going to come down to the reaction time on having a chance to win that. But it did not work out too good.
So how did it get set up, and what would have been, because I watched it,
Yep.
and he was going to come from the back and you was
Yeah.
pulled up on the starting line. How was all that going to start and let you leave, and how was that whole situation going to work out?
Yeah, he was going to come through, and as he passed me, I was going to let go of the brake, and then it was going to be a race to the quarter mile. So him with a rolling start and me from the tree, so fully staged. But what actually happened was him seeing green on the tree. Now they'll debate it, that's fine. But what actually happened was him seeing the staging and the green on the tree, and I'm on the trans brake for 13 seconds waiting for him to come, and the dude never come. And my tranny like was about the color of, I don't know what color of my computer, but it was not good. We didn't get the race off, but it was still a cool attempt, so to speak. So
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a flying drone video on YouTube, and this drone is above, and you can hear your car on the chip, on it and on it and on it, and it just didn't happen.
Yeah. I tried waiting. I think whenever I finally gave up on him getting up there to the starting line, I think I was on the brake 13 seconds. So
Dang.
I gave it as long as I was comfortable giving it. And then the dude ended up finally coming right after I let off, and he like looped it out out there about 1,000 foot or so. So it's probably a good thing that I wasn't coming.
Yeah, he come over in the lane you would have been in.
Yep.
Wow.
So it worked out how it should. So, or else I would have probably been T-boning a Viper at about 180.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's your next picture, Gary?
This is looks like a picture from a cruise, True Street deal.
Another 2019 race. Drove all the way to Denver for a streetcar takeover event. Tried to got to learn about high altitude spooling. And after about 25 spooling attempts, got DQ'd in the first E1 with a leaky tranny line, burn up a tranny line. So
oh man,
got to drive 14 hours back home because of the tranny line. So
yeah,
but I got to cruise. That was a nice little cruise.
You did get to cruise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. We need
man,
I needed a hose clamp sponsor for this race, guys.
And you probably need to rescale the car with all them clamps on that side of the car.
Yeah. 2019 Indianapolis weekend. Completely blew the wastegate off of the hot pot, and we were still in eliminations, trying to limp that thing through. That's one of Georgia's monster cans there, and we went to O'Reilly's and bought like every hose clamp they had in between rounds, and patched it together, and still ended up winning the class there in Indianapolis streetcar takeover with a monster can and about 12 hose clamps. So
yeah, and it burnt your rack boot off at the time.
It did. Look at
fire
that.
out of it and burnt the boot. Burnt a hole right through the boot. Looks like.
Yep. Yep. But that didn't phase me. We still sent it.
Sent it. That's right.
There you
go. Crazy times. Oh, there you go. So 2018. That's me and Casey. We went from splitting $20,000 in 2018 to first round ducks 2019. And that was a telltale sign of as our cars evolved a little bit, mine for sure, as we evolved a little bit from prep from no prep to prep racing. I couldn't hang for one, and apparently that day Casey couldn't hang either. So there we are, enjoying the day as everyone else was racing around too. So, but we still had fun.
looks like.
That was like August of 19 ish.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
that? And then along comes, what is this, September or October of
Yeah.
19?
Were y'all at this race?
Yeah.
2019?
Yep.
Yep.
It's one of Danny's
Small
races.
Yep. Yep. That was Danny had been after us to come up there to Mid America, and I believe that was Mid America. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And LSX versus the world, I believe, and went up there and I think raced both classes. Got my butt kicked in small tire by Lamar Swindoll, but ended up winning I can't remember what it was, street style or true street or some sort of street legal class that Danny had that night. That was a good time. That was my first time at MAD.
What'd you think?
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it. It's a cool little track. Pretty very, very similar to kind of my home track, Centerville, Arkansas. Just, good people, good track, good environment, and pretty dang good surface. We went fast there, and didn't have a clue what we had in store for us that night, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
Danny says LSX versus the world true street winner and went to the semis in small tire against Lamar.
Yeah. We got to learn a little bit about big blocks and pro
Big
chargers and yeah, that's
you'll come back to this track, and hopefully I'm gonna have your hands on my keyboard.
yeah, we
Just
need
let
to.
you know now.
Let's do it. Tell me the date.
I will have my people get with your people.
Yeah.
I'll have the laptop
Derrick,
charged up.
staying here for a second, you said something just now. You said dealing with big blocks and pro chargers, and so just a question, why did you go the LS route? Why did you go the turbo route and that sort of thing?
Well, if you price a stock 5.3 and a big block, you'll know why I did that. But once it was just price thing in the beginning and what I was familiar with. My Camaro was LS based. I knew kind of the ins and outs of the engine and knew, it was just my comfort zone. And then once I got hooked up with Mike, his big part of his customer base is LS based. So I feel like, a little bit of kind of my job to test some of that stuff and to learn some of that stuff and and helping figure out what works, what don't work. I like being the guinea pig on some of that stuff, see how fast we can go with what we got with being still LS based. So just still stay in the course.
Sure.
Has Mike's business changed with your success over the years? Have you guys had that discussion?
Well,
it's had to have impacted it some way.
Yeah, when I first went to Mike, I'm like, hey man, this dude recommended you. My local dude passed away. I need someone. I mean, he didn't know me, so I just showed up, dropped my crap off on his doorstep. He worked on it. I think it was the first year or two, and I remember getting a text from Mike that next year, that next winter. He seen me work my butt off with that 5.3 and learning. And, we made like 1,400 horsepower to the ground with the 5.3. So, that was pretty high horsepower for 2016, 2017 days. And for, especially a 5.3. But he's seen, my effort, and I never asked for anything from Mike. I've never asked of anything from any vendors. I'm not one of those that get my letter together and send it in and try to get sponsorships. But, Mike hit me up that next winter after a year of just being a normal customer. He's like, hey, I'd like to team up with you next year and be part of your program. And, it's still, sponsorships. I think a lot of people they think, oh, you get everything for free. A lot of people that, if they don't have sponsors or they don't know how it works, people just assume things. But, Mike has just been awesome to me. I think he just seen my effort and my I'd like to say a little bit of my character and, you know, my determination. And he just wanted to team up and see what we could do. And, you know, we're still going at it and still excited about, you know, the next plans with what we got going on. So.
No, that's awesome.
Cool.
Well, hit on something you just said, because the same thing, your work ethic, your character, you know, when Gary called me and said, "Hey, Derrick Kelly is having a tuning class at No Blow
Mhm.
Blow," you know, it's just like I was kind of following stuff and I knew what you were about a little bit. Didn't know you, but knew what you were about.
Yeah.
And in 30 seconds, it was a lock. You know, it was like, yeah, we're going. You know,
Yeah.
and it was because of the work you put in. You know, and that sort of thing. And you know, you're doing your thing every day, and people are watching. So that's hats off to you. And I know here in a second we'll get to that picture and we'll talk about it. But no, that's good stuff. That's good to hear about that.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike was actually one of the first ones that really truly jumped in, you know, wanted to help me out, wanted to be in my corner, you know, and you know, to kind of you know, let me know that I was more than just a normal customer, you know, and we started talk. I actually found out that, you know, I never would call Mike, you know, I never would want to bother Mike. And well, then I found out this son of a bitch had a headset and that I could call him and not slow down his work performance. So once I found out that Mike had a headset, I started blowing him up, and we got to be really, really, really good friends. And but I was always the guy that, you know, I don't want to bother him. And I've always been that way. I just very, you know, not pushy, you know, waiting for people to talk to me instead of forcing myself on people. And just, that's just always been my approach. But me and Mike, we've hit it off since day one. He's awesome.
Very cool.
I can remember, I wish I could find it. I would read it word for word, but you was in a conversation. It was probably about your success and how well you have done. It was somewhere along them lines. It might have been during, like, after that really good year you had. You won X amount of races. You went so many weeks out of the year. You raced a lot and won a lot. So I think that was a conversation. And somewhere in there, you made the comment that that's what you see because it's out there and it's visible. Your winner circles, the plaques, the trophies, all that. But what you didn't see was the years and years before that you was tearing stuff up and learning from tearing that stuff up.
Yeah. And, you know, 2015, 16, 17, and most of 18, you know, I did not win, but maybe 4 times in those 4 years, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah, maybe 6 times. You know, my big thing was I just wanted to race. I didn't care, you know, you know, I used to joke, like, I told everyone, you know, me and Jeff Spear, we raced across the country, no prep racing. I would tell people, it is not my job to win. It is my job to be Jeff's loyal sidekick, and while he won, and because Jeff was a badass, you know, I'm over there with my 5.3 and just working my ass off and chasing my tail, and I'm over there like not having a clue, and he's over there with big motor and big turbo and just effing everybody up. And I knew my place, and my place was not to win the races. And but that didn't slow me down. I remember getting off work. There'd be times I couldn't even take my own car. I'd drive to Texas. Hey Jeff, I'm gonna meet you there and help you. And I remember the first time I beat Jeff. And you know, we're racing. I think we're in outlaw street class in Amarillo. I only beat Jeff 2 or 3 times, but one of the times, of course, um, pretty much the real first big win for me was Amarillo. I remember my win lock coming on against Jeff, and I was like, "Oh shit, oh shit!" And because I'm coming back to the pits, and I'm not even excited I won. Like, I felt bad. I'm like, God dang it, you know, why did I, you know, I apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. Like shit. And it just wasn't my place to win. I never won. I was great at losing. And I remember my win light come on. I was like, that wasn't supposed to happen. And but And same thing with Casey, you know, he would kick my ass all over the country at different events, you know, even biggest stage in the country that year at Armageddon 2018, you know, and I thought I finally had him, and he still, you know, stuck it to me. But I was always just excited just to be there. I was not there to win. I was there to race and have fun. And I spent a lot of years doing that, and traveled the country just the same amount of dedication and effort, you know, as 2019, winning a ton of events. So I think a lot of people get caught up in that. They see a bunch of winning and a bunch of hoopla on the internet, and they want to build a car, and they want that, you know, they want the cool stuff to post on Facebook the next Monday. But a lot of them aren't willing to put in those 2, 3, 4 years, whatever it takes, to make that happen. Eventually, they want it instantly, and that's a lot of times, unfortunately, the people that enter the racing world that get burnt out if they don't get that instant satisfaction of winning. They're in it for the wrong reason, and those are the people that pop up in the drag racing world and then disappear almost as quickly as they popped up.
Yeah, well said.
Yep.
What's the next picture, Derrick?
Another picture here. This
We got,
is that Tulsa?
yeah, 2019. I had dreamed about. I had dreamed about hot lapping the car and winning both events, because you know, you get those haters. They're like, "Oh, you just go to Streetcar Takeover and puppy kick in the quarter-mile class." And I was like, you know what? These guys don't even know. You know, I mean, I drove all the way to Charlotte, North Carolina, and raced 39 gangsters and won, but they don't want to talk about that. So OKC, I think, was that? No, that was maybe, that's Tulsa there. We ended up winning both event classes, and finished up that year, I think, with 2 or 3 double ups, both classes, and you know, just murdered everybody that year on the points championship with the amount of races we was able to attend and the wins that we were able to pull off. Winning both of the classes was really cool. So it was always awesome to get that done. Another one of those. I think that was OKC double up. We finished out 2019 pretty strong. Ton of wins that year.
So does this picture go with this one?
That does. That was I can't even remember all the classes, but ended up doubling up that weekend. That was one of the weekends we had 2 or 3 nights of racing, and Jeff and that red truck was Justin Heckman. We got a lot of wins that weekend, and Bam Bam doubling up there at OKC. As you can tell from the jackets and the hoodies, except for Big George. Big George never gets cold. His sleeveless shirt was pretty much 364 days a year, and but that was wrapping up the end of the year there, 2019. That was a wild year.
Yeah. That's good stuff. It's like you got a stack of them.
A stack of plaques.
That was my 2019 plaques. Yeah,
man,
that was a big year. You know, and I think 24 shootouts. I don't know how many plaques are there, but you know, about half that year was at SCT, but the rest of the year was just random shootouts. You know, we started off the year with racing Silver Surfer at a Grudge event, and just raced all over the country doing anything and everything. We'd have 3 or 4 races on the radar, literally on the radar, and you know, we would look at the weather forecast, we would look at the race, the classes, the rules, and we'd have 3 or 4, and it would come down to Thursday night, and me and Big George, we'd look at each other and think, well, which one we going to? And we'd look at the weather forecast first, and then the rules and classes and entry fees and start times, driver meeting times, and decide where we were going that week. But we always had 2 or 3 races each weekend on our radar to go to. So
very cool. Have you been to Ozark?
I have, yeah. Raced there quite a bit. Finished out 2019 there back at a Redemption, at a no prep race. Not something we did a lot in 2019, but we still showed them that we could do it there at a Redemption, which kind of comes full circle with Haley and all that. the Texas bunch that we raced with, but Redemption, we had a lot of good years racing Redemption with, we really raced no prep and that stuff before it really got what I would consider the new hype with no prep racing. We were racing no prep 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, really before like NPK and all that stuff got crazy big or took off or anything like that. Where now I think it's kind of got more popular somewhat with back of the track racing and street racing and stuff. But as you can tell, my car was shiny there and I kind of wanted to keep it shiny. So I just didn't do much no prep. And matter of fact, that year, the True Street rules was she put a rule on that the True Street class. You had to weigh at least, I think my car, I had to weigh, it says 3,000 on the window there, but they had a methanol penalty. I think I actually had to weigh 3,100 pounds that year. So that was some different rules there, but we still made it happen.
You bet.
Mm-hmm. 2020. Remember what happened in 2020, guys?
COVID.
So
Yeah.
we start out our year. We go to Houston, and me and George, we drive down there. I can't remember where we stayed. We got a hotel room or something. We go to the grocery store that morning, and it was like March, I don't know, 16, 17, whatever that morning was that COVID really like kicked off. And I remember getting the news that morning. They're like, hey, there's some sort of like outbreak or something, like there's something going on. And we go to the grocery store to get some Gatorades and some waters for the cooler. And we get there and it's like 9 o'clock Saturday morning or Friday morning, whatever it was. I can't remember. We may have got there early. And the shelves are just wiped. And I'm like, I work the grocery industry. I know. And I know that the store shouldn't be empty. And I also knew that the store shouldn't have been that busy at that time of day. And come to find out, the word of COVID had really got spread that weekend. And they were even wondering if they were going to let us in and race TX2K that year.
Oh, wow.
And that shot right there is Bam Bam at TX2K 2020. We spent the first weekend of COVID at TX2K.
Wow.
So,
Wow. That's something.
And that is a picture from Holly Springs. The track manager, Jabo from Holly Springs, the whole world's shut down. But that didn't stop me and Big George. I had paired up with Cameron's Converters, and I was wanting to get my new engine. This was another Dart based back to 388 cubic inch in 2020. I was wanting to get the engine lined out and the Cameron's converter lined out. And we spent 3 or 4 weekends, end of March, 1st of April, middle of April, spent 3 or 4 weekends driving to Holly Springs every weekend. We were messaging Jabo, and he was letting people kind of sneak in the gate, park in the back parking lot, private testing, 20 car max, keep your distance, social distancing. And it was really the only place we had to test. So we drove, I think it was 7 hours one way to Holly Springs. We drove every weekend to go test while the rest of the world was shut down. We were making passes in Mississippi, trying to get the combo worked out and trying not to waste any time with COVID. So that was an interesting year. Racing was tough that year. There was very few events early on, of course, till we got opened back up. And, coming off a year like 2019, racing every weekend till the world shut down, I was pissed. I wanted to race. We were on that high. Felt like we were on top of the game and wanted to keep it up. And going to Mississippi every weekend testing was one way we did that and kind of kept our sanity with being shut down. What'd y'all have going on when I was at Holly Springs making test passes? What'd y'all have going on in COVID when everything was shut down?
Oh, man, I didn't have no private back door entry of the gate. We were in the garage looking at each other.
I think we were waiting to see what we was going to be able to do at our local tracks.
Yeah.
I think it was a little hit and miss there early on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
pretty
Do you
good.
remember when y'all got opened back up there in Kansas and local area?
It was in the
Man, I
fall, I want to say. Went to the
Really?
race. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
2020.
But we set out most of the summer, like you're saying,
Yeah.
you know.
That was the year like the races were all scheduled. Remember that spring? They're all scheduled, and we're like, are they gonna be open? Are they gonna cancel it? Are they gonna postpone it? Are we gonna get to go? And we
Yeah.
every weekend you had to just kind of get good news or bad news, and it was usually bad until I can't remember the first weekend exact date, but it was like May or June before we actually got to race again. So
Mm-hmm.
it was wild.
Crazy times.
Yeah.
All I knew was that Cameron's converter wanted to eat, and I was ready to go racing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What is going on here?
That was that's me and my crew. We were at
Looks like you in a bucket of giant drink.
well, that is a bucket of lemonade, believe it or not.
Okay.
That was gosh, I can't even remember what that event was. That was a Bowling Green, and random ass pitcher. Me and my pit crew there, and my tuner and my pit crew and my driver. We were all huddled up there, and drinking some lemonade. So, but got opened back up, and we started racing SCT again. Started racing any and every Grudge event we could, sticky track events. Finally got it going again. So, it was wild, but started hitting the SCT events
This
again.
is 2020 stuff. Streetcar takeover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
More stickers on the.
yeah, a few more stickers. Got the OG there, Mike Lau and Tuned by JP and Ball Metal, Team Z. But yeah, I started gaining more and more stickers. So
Tell me how you met Devin. Kind of got hooked up with that deal.
Devin? Yeah, so gosh, I'm trying to think I think it was before we tore the car apart, 2018, 2019, when we blew the car apart, cut the top off, all this stuff. We had a pretty good year in 2018. Of course, Jeff kicked my ass and Casey kicked my ass more than I kicked their ass. But we wanted to do better. We had Jeff had won, I think, the points championship with Redemption. He had a great year. But we were always looking for a way to improve. We're always looking for a way to get faster. Always looking for a way to engine longevity, race consistency. And we found out that Devin was putting on a class in North Carolina. As a matter of fact, I bought my first plane ticket ever. I had never flown before, but if you give me an incentive like learning some drag racing stuff from somebody that knows their crap, me and Jeff hopped on an airplane and went and took one of Devin's classes out there at a facility there in North Carolina, full day event in a classroom setting with Devin. So that was a big deal. We just, we felt like we knew some stuff, but we always wanted to learn more. Looking for that extra edge. We're always looking to improve.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You ready for the next one?
Yeah.
It's in. There's a question about this that's been brought up, but there's that.
Oh,
this came in the picture now.
So 2020 LS Fest, 10,000 to win.
Just Bowling Green.
And yes, Bowling Green LS Fest. The Super Bowl for dumb LS swap cars. So we're out there, and I see the November before, I seen a car pop up on Turbo Bullet for sale, and I'm like, man, that is a sharp freaking new Edge. But of course, they wanted like $1 million for it, and I didn't have $1 million, so I didn't buy it. And we go to LS Fest, and I'm thinking, Bam Bam's gonna be the car to beat. We're gonna have a good year. We go out there, and I'm like, there's that damn car. And well, a dude named Scotty Brown had bought it. And he had LS swapped it, showed up at LS Fest, and I was like, "You son of a bitch!" And so he was making some passes. We got to test. We tested Friday night. We tested Saturday morning, and that dude was making some licks. I was watching that car, and my stopwatch was showing that he was running some times, and needless to say that I was a little bit disappointed that he had got that car built, bought it, built it, and brought it to the race I wanted to win, 10,000 to win that weekend. And but we got rained out and we did not get to race, canceled. They did not refund our money. They just said, you got free entry fee into next year, and we're going to up our pot next year. Since this year rained out, we're going to up our pot to $20,000. I was like, okay, well, that's fine and dandy as long as this son of a bitch don't come back. So that's the first time I got to see Dr. Evil in person, what later become Dr. Evil. And later that January, I think it was January, maybe December, Scotty, I went over there and was drooling over that car. If you zoom in, there's probably drool marks and like stuff.
The grass looks wet. Yeah.
That's me. That's me.
Thought it was rain.
Yeah. I was walking around drooling over that thing, and he knew that, I wanted that car, and he was a F body guy. He hated that car. He called it names that we won't mention on here. We'll keep it PG, but he texted me in December, January. He's like, "You want this Mustang?" I'm like, matter of fact, I do want that Mustang. And so we bought that car. He had scuffed the wall somewhere. He got a little crazy at a track testing somewhere, but he had all cleaned up, shined up, painted up, cleaned up, stripped everything out of the car. He had bought an F body that he liked, and he definitely was not a Mustang guy. He said, "Come get this thing," and I was like, "Well," so the car to beat at LS Fest is now for sale, and next year's 20,000 to win. I'm not the best at math, but I was thinking, okay, we need to buy that car, build it, race it at LS Fest, win 20,000, and then go from there. So that was the plan. So I drive to Tennessee, buy the car, bring it back, and piece Bam Bam together, start racing Bam Bam. Dr. Evil just kind of sat over there by himself all year under a tarp, car cover in the shop. And I started gathering. I had a lot of the parts, every time I'd break a part or mess something up, I'd buy a spare for Bam Bam. And before you knew it, I had a spare motor, spare tranny. There they are. Before you know it, I had 2 turbos, 2 trannies, 2 motors. Every time I won a race or won money, I didn't like go to the bar or the wherever, I bought car parts. It's like, okay, well, what can help me next weekend win more money? What can help me next weekend win more money? And before you know it, I had spare parts, and I had enough parts to put the silver car together. And we started kicking butt in Bam Bam, had a good year in 21, hit the ground running. But we still had LS Fest coming up in September. And I was thinking, you know what? I bought that car to win LS Fest, because $20,000. I don't know about y'all, but it sounds like a pretty good payday. And so that was the mission. We pieced that thing together. Ball Metal Fab did an amazing job on redoing the engine bay, turbo mount, turbo piping, headers, fuel cell, catch can, everything under the sun. He did not do that downpipe, but the double little weld there, he would bitch at me if I'd said he done that. But
that turbo,
the turbo looks serious. I mean,
it looks familiar.
It does look familiar.
That turbo right there, it looks like it's at least 76 millimeters or so. And
176, you mean?
Dr. Evil was a serious car. But we were having a good year in Bam Bam. I just kind of set Dr. Evil over to the side. I didn't have all the parts I needed, but I had a lot of the stuff I needed. And of course, Travis wanted to completely redo the engine bay. It was a process. We finally got it in there. LS Fest is coming up in September. I couldn't drive both cars, of course. So the plan was to get both cars to LS Fest. And I just happened to have a hired gun named Jeff Spear, who had won a race or two in his days. So we brought Jeff out of retirement, and we went to Alabama and made 4 passes on Dr. Evil. And that was all we had before we showed up at LS Fest. And we showed up LS Fest, 20,000 to win. I think there was 30 something cars or 40 something cars. There was a crap ton of cars, and we started battling through the field. And matter of fact, me and Jeff, we met up in the semis, I think. And I'm in Bam Bam and he's in Evil, and I know I'm tuning on both cars, and I know what both cars are running. I know what both cars can run, and I'm thinking, okay, so I'm gonna take one for the team here. And I laid down in semifinals or quarterfinals it was. And then Jeff went on as semis and then the finals. And we get all the way down to the finals, 20,000 on the line. And I'm thinking, okay, let's split this pot, go home with some money, see who wins for the trophy. And Jeff hits these guys up. We hit them up about splitting the pot because I'm thinking, you know what? Splitting it's better than nothing. And they're like, we ain't splitting with y'all. They were local guys. They were a little more, I guess, confident than we were, so to speak. And Jeff knocks it out of the park. We win the $20,000 with for second. Yeah, actually our first race with Dr. Evil. So the plan of buying the car and building it to win that race worked out in our favor. It don't always happen like that, guys, but it did with that car.
Where did Dr. Evil get its name?
Well, I sent a picture of Dr. Evil in the trailer on our way back from Tennessee to Mike Lau. I was like, it's coming home. And he said, man, that thing looks evil. And it just stuck. It just stuck. The name stuck it from day one. And that was a badass car. I really bought that car just to, one, win LS Fest. And two, that car had a parallel 4-link, and I had been a stock triangulated Mustang style suspension guy. I didn't know anything about parallel 4-link. And I wanted to learn the 4-link tuning and concepts and all that stuff. So finally got to, get my hands on that setup with Dr. Evil and learn that. So
cool.
Way different than what I was used to.
Great story.
What y'all got?
Next is this little red truck.
Uh-oh.
This cute little red truck.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. So that was 2021 LS Fest. That was September 21. Well, that picture right there is October of 21. And that's me creeping in the background at some. So back in the Redemption days, we were racing in Texas a lot, the Redemption No Prep Series, and there was some guys named Rick Hilton and Steve McNamara back in the day that we raced with a bunch. And well, come to find out, Steve had a daughter that we didn't really cross paths with until later on. Matter of fact, we were we were headed to a race in North Carolina, and my buddy Chris and Aaron had went the previous weekend to Texas and had seen Steve racing. He's like, Derrick, do you know Steve has a daughter? I was like, no. He's like, well, she races and she was helping him out and this and that. And I'm like, well, so I look her up on Facebook, being a creeper, like I look like in that picture.
Like you are right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So the weekend before that, when he went to Texas, me and George were racing at Atlanta. But then the next weekend, we were all three went to North Carolina, and he was telling me about Haley. And so we started talking and texting, and before you know it, we raced. I think it was Halloween weekend of 21, and I took Dr. Evil to Ennis and raced him that weekend, and I got to meet Haley for the first time there. She was racing 7.0 in her truck, and that's me and Dr. Evil that weekend. Matter of fact, you can see Haley standing back there watching me make a pass. But yes, yeah,
She's creeping herself.
And but I think we had talked for quite a while before we even seen each other. We met up that weekend and raced and hung out, and she didn't kick me to the curb just yet, so we just hit it off. And I think the next 2 weekends after that weekend, we raced Oklahoma City twice. We won a streetcar takeover event, and then they had a call out race there at Oklahoma City, and Haley come up those next 2 weekends and raced with us. And but then fast forward, a couple of years later, and getting married. So or did get married, and matter of fact, proposed to her and at that same track that we first met at. I think we may have a picture of that. So yeah, and never thought I would find that person that would be the one. I was just in my own little world racing. Me and Big George and Jeff, and racing was everything. And I actually told several people, if I'm gonna ever meet somebody that's going to be the one, they're either going to be at the track or at the grocery store where I'm working. And she never did show up at Harps getting groceries, but she did show up at the track, and that was how all that happened. It was something else.
So here she is running 7.0 index, right?
Yep. Small block Chevy 400 Power Glide, naturally aspirated. That's Little Bill, her truck, Little Bill, and her dad and best friend Rick. They're hardcore Chevy guys, big block Chevy, small block Chevys, pro charged. So even though I was turbo LS, they still accepted me into their circle.
Accepted you in.
Yeah.
Does she have aspirations of some small tire, faster racing?
I don't know. I don't know. She's partial to her truck. I've tried to get her in Bam Bam and make some passes and do this and that, but she's pretty happy racing what she's racing right now. But definitely looking at maybe getting her, to make some little hitters classes, or some of those 5.0, 490 breakout classes, or even mid fives. But 7.0, I learned a lot about 7.0 index racing in a short amount of time. That is some hard racing. Because one little glitch in the tune up or the trans brake release or the truck, any little glitch, your time's off. And if they're on and you're off, man, your margin for victory is very, very small. And that's some tough racing. So hats off to any and everybody that can make it happen in those index classes. Coming from a heads up guy, a lot of respect for those people and those race programs, because that takes some dead consistent setups and driving. So
yeah,
I wouldn't cut it. I know that.
This is Tulsa.
Yeah, Tulsa. I think this was this may have been the last time I raced Dr. Evil. 2022. Took it to to Tulsa and raced a small tire class. Bam Bam was down, so it's like, well, Bam Bam's down. Let's just take Dr. Evil, and we knocked out the small tire class there. Yeah, that was definitely some small tire racing there. A little bit of 4-link action there.
There you go.
I don't know. Maybe I think Dr. Evil was showing off a little bit on that pass. Who needs that much extension, really?
Right.
So, but no, that was the last weekend I raced Dr. Evil. I still got another car in the works, Fox body based. I knew Dr. Evil wasn't long term. It really had 2 goals for that car, was just to win LS Fest and to learn parallel 4-link setups, and we accomplished both of those. So it had served its purpose, and went to a new home. So
Right on.
Where did it go?
it went Indianapolis or Indiana, Illinois, up in that area. A guy by the name of Rodney has it. He had wrecked his car and was looking for another chassis. He didn't think his was salvageable, so he scooped up Dr. Evil. Then it turns out I think he did actually get to fix his chassis. So
Cool.
I'm not sure if he's done much with Dr. Evil. I know it was together and he was racing it, but it was kind of his second car too. So it was a badass car, though. I'll tell you what. There's times where I wonder if he misses me too. So, Mhm. Did y'all ever see Dr. Evil?
Yes. Keith and I went to Noble. It was like one of them big Mark call out deals. It was in like November.
Yes, that was the
Late.
second. Yeah, that was the second weekend that Haley come up. She
Okay.
she come up that weekend, and we raced. Jeff was driving it, I think, that weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I had
Brendan and Shane Mock
banded.
went down. They raced in it that weekend, and I think Logan Metcalf was racing his Camaro that weekend.
That's
There was
right.
a couple of Wichita cars there. Yeah.
That's right. I remember that. That was a badass race.
Yeah, the call out.
Mhm.
Hey, Derrick, want to stop for a second and got another question from the group. You want to bring Troy's comment in, Gary?
Yeah. Yeah. I seen
Uh-oh.
that. Comments. Our buddy Troy here says, I want to hear how the first Buc-ee's video came about and if they started sponsoring you yet.
No sponsor. So the whole Buc-ee's thing was, well, one, when we'd go down to Houston to like TX2K and some of those events, we're like, holy shit, this place has got 200 gas pumps and ice is like 79 cents a bag or something stupid. And it was just, amazing. We'd never seen anything like that. And I was just in awe. And Devin, when I had met Devin at his class, something was, they got sheets and Wawas up there, I guess. And
Yeah.
I was like, it just was one of those things that I was like, man, if y'all ain't seen a Buc-ee's, y'all haven't seen anything. And I was bored one night. I think I was driving back from a race or to a race or something by myself. And sometimes when I'm by myself, I do a bunch of dumb stuff like making a 3-hour video in Buc-ee's. But basically just a dumb video I made of for Devin, showing all the crazy crap at Buc-ee's, and a lot of people got a kick out of that one. And
man.
Yep.
and a lot of people didn't really know anything about Buc-ee's. And
I'm one of them.
Yeah.
Until that video.
Yeah.
And you had another video of like a True Street cruise or something was going on. You're in your car in the video, and you got this giant drink, and you're driving down the road in this True Street cruise with your Buc-ee's drink.
We went on the True Street cruise, and I was thinking, well, crap, we're headed back, and like Buc-ee's is just like 2 miles that way. So I exited the cruise and went by Buc-ee's just to I don't know, just for some style points or something for the weekend. But went by Buc-ee's and got me a drink and maybe some jerky or some beaver nuggets or something. And then went back and caught back up with the tail end of the cruise. And it's just always a good time. So
when we went to Ennis, that was Gary's first Buc-ee's trip last year.
Yep.
So,
North of Dallas there. Yep.
Yeah. It's dumb. it's dumb. And
Tanner's first Bucky's also, I believe.
yeah, the first time you walk in one of those things, you're just like, it's
Yeah.
it's unreal.
Yeah.
It was just that asshat did that at Texas Radio Roundup.
Good stuff.
That's great.
Glad to see
Yep.
Craven watching.
Oh yeah. So what's going on in this picture right here?
That is, oh gosh. So 2022, went to Haley's home track, Little River Dragway, and one, Bam Bam was getting the reputation of like straight up sticky track, gangster, small tire type stuff. And we show up at Little River, and it's a little hometown track, nothing crazy. And I think it took us like 4 or 5 passes to figure out how to just get past the 330. And it was a tough track, very, very tough track. And we tuned on it, and finally started going A to B enough, and ended up winning that shootout. First time ever at Little River. Haley was excited to get to race with everybody. I think Little Bill was there. Her dad's truck's there in the background, the C10 there. And so all of us getting to race that weekend at her home track, bringing Bam Bam down and getting the win. That was a pretty cool weekend. So that weekend, the tuning that went into that weekend paid off later. Later in the year at another event, we showed up to a track with similar conditions. But that was just an awesome weekend racing there at Haley's home track.
Oh yeah.
And pulling off the win.
That's what it's all about. Making memories.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What was the next? I was kind of alluding. Oh yeah. So 22 was also, now was it summer of 2022 when y'all come to OKC?
It was May. Like middle of May.
Yeah. So
like degrees it seemed like, but it was like 59 inside that.
It was good in the trailer. It was good.
Yeah, and I can't remember. I think Haley was on a trip or something. She couldn't be there that weekend.
She wasn't there, no.
Yeah, because if y'all will remember, I was worried about like getting to and from the lanes and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
And because didn't I bring Bam Bam to that? Rodney, didn't you have a picture of? Did you have a picture?
You mean right there?
There we go.
You came prepared.
So that was OKC. Wasn't that was it a shootout or a testing event? I can't remember.
It was just a testing. It was just
a
testing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did the. That's whenever you boys come down, and we did the class at the track, and got to see Rodney's car and his setup there, and I think there was 5 or 6 of y'all that we hit the track that day and did the trackside class, tuning class, and 2022 we did several of those, and really back to what I was saying earlier, just motivation to help people out, especially those. Of course, my niche is small block, turbo, alcohol, and just trying to help people out, do some stuff, show them some stuff hands-on that maybe they learn something with their car or their combo, and not be changing head gaskets 6 weekends in a row like me, or chasing suspension. Yeah, chasing suspension, countless weekends, or just the whole approach with data management and power management and track tuning and just the overall concepts, and did quite a few of those classes in 2022, and was just something to an extra something to include in those events, and to get some people some hands-on experience, and just a chance pass on what I had learned the hard way. So
you bet. So let's go back a picture. I just want to talk for a second, Derrick. Gary made the comment earlier about like, oh, I want you to get your hands on my keyboard, and even on the comments over to the right, I've seen some other people. Yeah, I want you to get
I've seen it.
And I'm here to say this is the place. And so if you are having more classes next year, I would recommend anybody watching this now or later that'll follow up on this with our views to take one of his classes. And the atmosphere, I mean, Derrick teaches the class somebody that is on any level. And for example, like myself, I've been messing with some sort of fast or big stuff or since 2000, and Gary already had a Holly. People behind us already what I would call like a level 2 or 3 Holly, but you were able to teach the class where everybody could listen to whatever level they were on. And so that's something that I took away from that. Plus, not only the in class, I think 4 or 5 hours inside this trailer going over everything with Holly, but you just broke down the spark plug gap and starting line ratio and just other things that I just took away so much from this. And then when it went into the practical session when the sun went down, I picked up so much from this. And you were able to actually take my tune up, put it on the big screen, and we did some adjustments there. And I'm just here to talk for you and sell this class because it was worth every penny that I put into this going here, the time, the effort. I learned so much, and that's what took my program to the next level, and I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. And, I had taken Devin's class. We made the trip in winter of 18 out there, and, we went with just open mind, just wanted to learn that one thing, and that's what I think when I first started advertising that I was going to do a trackside class, of course I had tons and tons of interest. I think at one time I had like 70 people, 80 people in queue that was, expressing interest. I think I ended up doing, I can't remember, 7 or 8 classes in 2022 with, 5 to 6 people per class. And it was, every time we did one, it was a different experience. And I was always just trying to show anything and everything that I do and have learned the hard way that might help someone, either win a race or save an engine or get more consistent with their program. And hopefully some folks along the way got some of the stuff from that. And if nothing else, just the concepts and looking at the big picture of drag racing and the whole approach to either testing or racing competitively, was really the goal. And it was something an idea originally started. Me and George, we would be driving across the country. I'm like, man, there's got to be a way that we can teach folks, show some stuff, do some stuff. And it was just something that, I think some of the the classroom style setting classes are good, but the at the track, it's like whenever you see a tune up, and whether it's adjusting the base tune or power management or incremental changes between passes or tuning to the track surface as it changes through the day. We cover all that stuff. Anything and everything is game. There's no I share times and ETs and all the management strategies, power management strategies and all that stuff. It was just something to give back to folks in hopes that maybe I could save them headaches that I went through the hard way. So, and on that, if y'all, I'd love, Gary, you get your car together, I would love to get my hands on it and come help you out some more.
I would love that too.
I'm
already counting on it.
Yeah,
well,
I'm anxious.
Being said, I see in some comments the track manager, Mr. Harper, said he'll put a day aside to make that happen. So we can get a little class or one-on-one or just whatever.
Yeah. And I have started doing some one-on-one stuff. I love, tuning a car from scratch, if, especially like a new car. I really like figuring out car suspensions and, the whole setup, not just the Holly side of it. That's something that I probably didn't advertise enough, that, it wasn't just a Holly class. It was more of a drag racing class. When it comes to,
I was going in as a Holly, but I learned so much more. Your whole philosophy of how you approach things, and not only at race day, but to prepare for race day.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah.
Somebody
And,
else is interested in that. I'm down with that track day at Mad. And whoever you are saying that, you come across as Facebook user. So toss your name up there just so we can see who it is. Oh,
It's another testimony.
and Darce Laws. I know Darce. He says, I've been to multiple classes, and Derrick's class is the most unique. Being at the track, you get to watch the changes you made in action. Great class, and it definitely made it more fun that we both won classes at Streetcar Takeover.
There you go.
Yeah, and when that was something, the classes that were at the at actual events, actual race events, getting to be in the pits, it's not like, hey, y'all look that way, I'm gonna make some changes to the car. There was, it's like, hey, let's we got first round, let's do these shocks, let's do this tune, let's do this, everything behind the scenes. I remember one of the guys joked, they were like, oh, so these guys just basically sign up to be your crew members that day. Well, I mean, if you want to look at it that way, but I'm just thinking, you know what? If some of the people that out there doing what I wanted to do back in 2015, 16, 17, if they said, hey, you want to just come watch what I do? I mean, I'd have been all over that. And that was really the motivation. It's like, drag racing in some respects it was so secretive there for a while. I'll beat up on Travis Can again, folks that see me struggle along the ways, I don't blame them for not helping me or speaking up like, hey, dummy, because it is competitive, and it should, there's nothing wrong with keeping that private, like secretive side of drag racing in them. But that's just not how I'm wired. I probably help people maybe a little too much if you ask some folks, but I don't know, that's just the way I look at it.
Well, and just to follow up, next time I saw you were in Texas, doing the turbo deal, and we put it on, and you're right there all through Texas too. Hey, you need anything, checking in on it, and that sort of thing. I mean, just service afterwards, even. It wasn't a one and done. I remember messaged you several times after that, just talking about stuff, so about building relationships.
Yep, for sure. And I just like seeing people have fun, have fun, enjoy their cars, and make progress. If anything I can do that helps them out in the long run, either have more fun or save them money or keep parts healthy, I'm all about it. So
yeah, well, I already told Gary when you come back around for his car, I'm going to be there just to keep picking stuff up. So
yeah. Gary, how long you've been out of the seat now?
September of 22.
Yeah, we got to get it going.
Yeah, I had the year of 23 trouble getting parts, and I talked to you about that at Texas, and I should have took you up on those body parts you offered then.
I know it.
in what was that, late March?
Yep.
Man, I didn't get my stuff till September.
Yep.
But that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
That'll never happen again. But a lot of this is my fault with taking it as far apart as I did. I didn't need to. I just wanted to lighten it up. So
right.
Yeah, that's where we're at. It was just a heavy pig, and it just sucked that it was so heavy.
Yeah. So
unnecessarily heavy. But
I'm excited for the changes for
me
you
too.
and Rodney's car both. I think both of them's gonna be pretty dang nasty, and anything I can do to help. We're living here in Oklahoma, so not too far away from you boys nowadays.
Yep.
So
yeah, you moved a little closer to us. I like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Not quite to Kansas, but we're getting there.
That's all right.
It's close enough.
Yep.
There's nothing in Kansas.
Yeah. What else you got, Gary?
That's what's next here. There's that. We saw that. We saw that.
Oh.
And
there you are, holding a big check.
Yeah, this last year has been a challenge. End of 22 and 2023. We've started chasing the all steel, all glass a lot. But between this last year, we started out with a lot of rainouts in what was it, March, April, May, quite a few rainouts, and then me and Haley were living 7 hours apart and both working full time and trying to, when you're trying to coordinate the person you're going racing with and you're 7 hours apart before you leave for the race, that's
Good
tough.
luck.
But yeah, so we both got moved here to Oklahoma back in May, and then about the time we got moved and got the house situated, and then it was 110 degrees for about 8 weeks this last summer, and we weren't too motivated to go racing, and just the racing scene was just a little different this year, but it was just such a huge challenge this year with living the long distance thing until we got situated, and then we started racing pretty aggressively as soon as end of August or so. Started rolling around and started hitting some of the Texas races, but very excited for 2024. And now that not living 7 hours apart from your significant other, and I'll see, we forgot that one. So 2022, we were chasing that SCT. We were going after the points championship again. That would have been our 4th points championship. And 2019, 20, 21, and 22 was on the table. That picture right there is from Phoenix, Arizona.
Oh, wow.
Cool. So me and Haley, we were doing the math, and we're like, holy crap, like, you got to race it. I think it's five season events to be eligible in the points championship. Well, I had raced 4, and the last race of the year was in Phoenix, Arizona at Wild Horse Pass Raceway. And so me and Haley, we loaded up fall of 22. And if you remember, I raced that Little River shootout and tuning. Yep. And I show up at Wild Horse Pass. Me and Haley, we're walking the lanes, and I'm like, what the hell did we get ourselves into? There's like 20 small tire cars, and I think 2 of us were on radials. And I think 1 or 2 had wheelie bars. Ooh. And we go out there, and I turn the car down, and we're struggling, and knock the tires off the first pass, knock the tires off the second pass, maybe, barely out-pedaled the other guy on the third pass, which was first round eliminations. And so we go out there for our 5th event for the year, trying to get our points championship. And we ended up struggling through a very, very tough track condition, and got the win in both classes and clinched the points championship in both classes. So that's what kind of crew chief I got. She was willing to drive. It was a weekend trip. I mean, there ain't no, hey, let's take a week off and go hang out in Arizona. It was drive straight to Arizona, race, drive back. And Haley was down, and we made the most of it, despite being the underdog and packing a set of radials on a very, very marginal track in a field full of slick tire cars. So just the battle, surviving the night was a huge win, much less the points championship there. Matter of fact, we were at the drivers meeting, and Chase and Justin was up there that night or that day talking to everybody, and they're just talking. They see me standing there. They're like, they're like, what the hell? I said, you said I needed, I'm like, you said I needed another event to be eligible for points. So here we are. And that was the finish to our 2022 season there. So
that's great. Hey, back up a picture there, Gary.
Okay. This Facebook user, maybe that's Haley, saying this was the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Possibly.
Maybe. Back up a picture, you said, to XRP.
So yes, sir. Just talk about this for a second. I've never been to XRP. I know my understanding is it's a little bit of a wild scene around there on the starting line and that sort of thing. And
it is, it's very, 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 very good grudge scene. A lot of grudge racing activity. maybe not so much if you're running a turbo setup or this or that. But man, you talk about a nasty, nasty little racetrack and a lot of great events. But XRP was kind of our go-to this year. That Ennis and XRP, both amazing facilities, but with us living 7 hours apart, well, guess what's in the middle? Dallas, Texas. And so we would try to race in Dallas as much as we could this year until we got moved. But this was a win, I believe, at All Steel All Glass shootout. There you can see the ASAG on the window.
Yeah.
How much steel and how much glass?
Well, Bam Bam is all steel, all glass. Unlike some of these folks with carbon floors and optic armor front and back and all this crazy stuff. But yeah, since I changed the car in 2019, spring of 2019, we haven't changed anything body wise. It's still steel mini tubs, steel floor, factory glass all around. Every window's factory glass, factory fenders. Everything is still there. I may be one of the heavier all steel all glass cars, but I've just been hesitant to change anything because it's like, well, about the time you think you can do optic armor front and back or do this, carbon floors, carbon tubs, I'm one of those like, well, what if they change the rules?
Yeah.
And I don't want to be that person that gets kicked out because I'll try to keep Bam Bam flexible. Matter of fact, I'm the guy that, I mean, whether depending on what weekend it was, I'm changing motors, changing this, changing that, trying to be as flexible as I can to race whatever I can. So I've definitely been trying to keep Bam Bam as a multi-use tool for any class out there. So, but yeah, all steel, all glass.
I have weighed the stock glass and the optic armor. There's not that huge of a weight loss.
Yeah, I've got
not that big.
Yeah, I partnered up with some folks this year. We got Bam Bam some optic armor, but they're still sitting in the box. I'm gonna have to force myself to install those. But as all steel all glass is getting more and more popular, we've won some huge shootouts. 2024, matter of fact, very first weekend racing coming up this next March is at XRP Big Jake Promotions, and it's $37,000 to win Friday night and $10,000 to win Saturday night. And I'm thinking, you know what, we may need to step up our game a little bit. We were in the finals and split with Rick Hilton, Haley's dad's best friend there in Central Texas. We made it to the finals, last Big Jake's promotion race in September. So we've had a really good run at, but you're always thinking, what can we do to up our game for next year? And we might have a trick or two up our sleeve, but yeah, no pressure. $47,000 on the line first weekend out in March. So I'm thinking, we'll probably need to figure something out to be competitive in that also. So
nice. All right.
You saw that one. Mm-hmm. Then there's
that was early back this year.
And
just trying to make some changes.
I see a change that I saw, and I saw it in Texas too, with the front strut.
Seen something there, yeah.
Yeah, the spindle mount stuff. Yeah, I seen that in Texas when we was down there, and
yeah. And matter of fact, I even seen a class that said no spindle mount wheels. And I was like, well, I guess we ain't racing that anymore for sure. But yeah, I was always scared of spindle mount wheels for some reason. I don't know, just nature of what I was comfortable with. But that was a change we did for 2023, and got to definitely save some weight there with the brake kit and whatnot. And plus, it looked cool. So
it looked cool. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and that looks cool too.
Yeah, but that's Bam Bam will be back out. Probably testing mid-March. Huge race for Big Jake's. Did have some thoughts about going to Georgia for all steel, all glass shootout there at Ducks Race in February, but haven't really thought serious about it. But you know, some of those folks, they think, well, they just race in Texas, or they just race here, they just race there, and definitely have been thinking about making the trip to Georgia to that event. I've never been to that one, so. Have either of you been down to the Ducks Race?
No.
I've been down to watch like 2011.
Mhm.
Me and Shannon Campbell went down and watched what seems like 100 years ago now. So much has changed since then, but
Yeah.
I think it'd be fun to take a car just to do the experience and compete and just take all that in. And,
Yep.
you know, it's kind of a bucket list, I guess.
Yeah.
I say it'd be a fun experience. It may not be.
Yeah. Some of those boys don't come to Texas and race, so you know, may have to go to East Coast to see how we stack up. So whether that's at Doug's or a different event, definitely want to get that done this next year. So
Yeah. This is Streetcar Takeover.
this last year, yeah, that was, I believe, I hate to say it, but I think that was one of the only streetcar takeovers we raced this last year. Just with our crazy life going on. A lot of the streetcar takeovers this year were more East Coast. You know, one year there was like 3 OKC events, but this last year there was just not as many around local. So we did make it to the OKC one and got the win in small tire at that event. So, but always a good time.
Here you're back at XRP.
Another all steel, all glass shootout. Yeah. I believe Cisco. I think Cisco helped me out that weekend. Cisco was the stand-in crew chief. Haley was out of town, probably touring the Caribbean or something. But yeah, the famous Cisco Vega stepped in, and he can do it all. He can check tires, he can drive, he can crew, he can line you up, he can do it all. So, and he can make fun of you on Facebook. So he's definitely got it all. Yeah, no kidding. All right, guys. Yep, that was the Big Jake's promotions race. We raced till, gosh, it was like 7 or 8 a.m. And me and Rick, you know, we're pitted together. You know, it's 20,000 to win. Me and Rick, we're pitted together, and we're helping each other out all night. And we get down and we stay away from each other all the way down to the finals. I think his blue is prettier than my blue. I don't know. What do y'all think? But we get down to the finals, and our cars are both just beat up, and you know, just smacking them over the head, leaning on them, racing those boys. Because you know, Big Jake's, when you're racing for 20 grand in Texas, you know, the grizzly bears come out, and you know, we're having to lean on it pretty good. And we get down to just us two in the finals. I was like, Rick, do you really want to race? And he's like, well, you know, there's like 5 people that's still awake watching the races. You know, it's the sun's coming up, as you can see in the background. We ended up just calling it a night and splitting it. And but just a great weekend. Again, racing with friends and family there, with the Sim Texas family that I'm now adopted into. So with Haley and her dad Steve and best friend Rick there with the 3rd gen. That was a badass race there at Big Jake's. So definitely looking at defending that that accomplishment, you know, coming up in March off of the big win there in September.
Cool. This is the last picture we got.
Uh-oh. Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Haley, love that one. So that one, yeah, we're leaving the wedding, which, you know.
She have her ears plugged?
Yeah. Yeah, even yeah, even though it was a turbo car, she was still telling the little flower girls and all of them that were standing there watching us leave the wedding. She was telling them to plug their ears. And yeah.
The exhaust on the other side.
I know it, but yeah, she was still looking out for them. But yeah, it's been a ride, and you know, we got married October 7th, and we thought, what better way to leave the wedding than in Bam Bam? Because, street car or no car. And we still get some haters that think, it's just a race car and blah, 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 blah. So we made a point to leave the wedding in Bam Bam, even put the passenger seat back in. But it was a great time. And it's been a great journey, drag racing and not just the racing, but meeting Haley and having kind of a partner in crime, that's kind of way more important than any race win or anything, getting to meet her and become a part of the family. And very excited for another year of racing and what's to come. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. It's a great story. You guys meet at the track and then just kind of hitting it off. And of course, basically a car that's been through with you this whole time, be able to leave with that. That's just a great picture right there.
Yeah.
So at this point where we'll have Gary kind of look through, I think we've been hitting things as they come up. Not too many questions out there, but if you do have any comments or questions for Derrick, bring it on in now. And Derrick, just want to open back to you and just ask, like, hey, this is the point. Like, if you want to thank anybody, you already mentioned your engine guy, but just along the way, just want to turn it back over to you as far as, shout outs and thank yous and support, marketing partners along the way.
Yeah, just all the guys that's been along the way, the ones from the very beginning. Mike Lau has been in the corner from day one, and then guys like Ball Metal Fab and just ton of people. Cameron's converters and forced induction turbos. Just I'm not one of those to jump brands. I'm one that, loyalty is a big thing to me. And a lot of the stickers that's on the back of my car, it isn't switching stickers, it's usually adding stickers every year. And just, always, trying to do my best for, to represent, brands as well as I can. And, on track and off the track, a lot of crap talking going on here and there, but ultimately, just want to have a good time and represent everyone, as well as we can. But just a lot of good folks in my corner. Just meeting a lot of good folks too, like y'all and Haley and everybody, other than racing, working. But it's been awesome and can't wait to see, what the next year or two brings too. So
I appreciate that. I appreciate you coming on the show. And
yes, sir. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Definitely.
And I'm gonna hold y'all to that. Me and Haley want to come help y'all with y'all's cars. Y'all get those lined out. Gary, we need to get yours. We gotta get the dust knocked off of yours, I think.
Yes, the dust, the rust, everything, all the above.
Yeah,
it's gonna be kind of ugly. I thought I was gonna paint it, but there's no time to paint it.
So we will see you boys for sure. What, radial roundup? What's the plan? Bringing one car, both cars?
One for sure.
Rodney says two.
We're in the background.
I say one for sure. It's a little too early to tell.
Yeah. Well, if I can help any way, y'all let me know.
I'm not being not confident. I'm being realistic. So,
yeah. Well, that's all right.
And I don't like to throw shit together just to throw it together. I don't work that way. And that's a problem too. But
yeah, it happens. But hopefully we'll see both you boys there and be a good time. So
yeah. In these comments here, somebody said they needed an updated Buc-ee's commercial. No, not happening.
Oh my. We'll have to work out something. But yeah, I'm always up for a little comedy. But
Shane Mox says Bam Bam is the real star.
No doubt.
He tries hard. He tries hard. I don't like changing cars. I don't like changing folks I work with. I don't like changing, but sometimes you got to. But that car's nothing special, but it works its butt off. So it's been very good to me.
Craven says you're one of the truly good guys in drag racing.
Nah. Craven's legit. A lot of respect for that dude.
Fastest real streeter around. Tony Whitmore says.
We need the Whitmore story. That's a story for another day. Them damn Whitmore boys.
Looking. I don't know who this is. It says it's Facebook user. It says, Derrick, I still want to see you make some passes at Ozark Raceway Park. You and Craven should battle it out.
I started helping Craven on his car a little bit, just extra set of eyes, just tuning a little bit, helping out, checking tire pressure, whatever I can do. But I don't know. I mean, I want Craven to win. I mean, and if I show up, that's just, I don't know. I mean, if he wants me to show up and race, I will, but we might have to find some sort of no time clocks off event so the state of Texas don't get mad. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah. I'm looking at the comments here. Oh, we was talking about a track day at Mad, and that was Ron that said I'm down with the track day. Ron is our local buddy here, Ron, that races.
Yeah.
Darce says I'll be your crew member anytime.
Darce is badass.
Okay, I don't know who this is. Facebook user. It says, what are the chances of you, Derrick, coming to Mid-America Dragway, setting the new track record and stealing the belt? I don't know who that is, but
the problem about beating track records is people know what the track records are.
That's right.
And if you're a no time guy in Texas looking for a way to kick poor little Bam Bam out, that might open up the door for some difficulty on my side. But yeah, I mean, I'm always down to go fast, but I can't penalize myself down the road.
Sure. Makes sense.
Unfortunately.
Go ahead.
Ronnie said it makes sense. I said, unfortunately, it makes sense. No time world's gets a little tricky every now and then. What Tanner say?
Tanner, our buddy Tanner says, thank you, Derrick, for always answering my stupid questions.
There's no stupid questions. I'm the one with the stupid questions.
Matt Ray says, I believe there's a race at Mad for a test session before Radio Roundup. There is, like the 2 weeks before.
2 weeks before. So that would be like first week in April. That might be good.
Yeah, April 6th. Yeah.
So you boys need to be there. I don't need Bam Bam there. I need you two there.
Be there.
I agree.
Both of you.
I agree. What Craven and them have done at Ozark Raceway Park is phenomenal. Drive there every chance we get to.
Yes.
Love to watch.
Speaking of shout outs, I am super, super impressed with what they've done at Ozark Raceway Park. Craven and the 417 crew. My gosh. I mean, Ozark before, I mean, nothing against Ozark. It was a good track, but there was some times you had to kind of mind your P's and Q's. But that track has been next level. The last few events I've been up there hanging out with those guys and helping out any way I can up there. But just some of the times the boys are running the Titan series up there, hit that place, and we hit an event or two up there, and just I was amazed at what they've done with that facility and that surface there. It definitely, I ain't gonna lie, there was some times I'm thinking, man, I wish I had my car here. So yeah, hats off to all them folks there at Ozark Raceway Park. I definitely want to get up there for a race or two this year with my car, not just helping out.
Do you like quarter mile or eighth mile racing better?
8th mile. Yeah. That last 660 foot just seems like, I don't know, shit gets wild.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not against it, but yeah, it's back in the day, quarter mile I thought was better or more fun, but seemed like the faster and faster cars go. You know, I just don't know about going 230, 240 in a Bud Light can just yet. I think I might need to upgrade the chassis a little bit, but we'll see.
What's the best quarter mile pass Bam Bam has made in the past?
I can't remember. The no time guys won't let me remember.
Oh, Gary.
No, quarter mile, not eighth mile.
I can't say anything.
Well, that's a whole different race.
There's sticklers.
That was like 4 engines ago.
I can't even.
That was
my
different tires.
My cousin's cousin can't even post what I went in 2016, or I get kicked out.
That was a different set of spark plugs and tires.
Yeah. Tell them that.
Wow, that's pretty strict stuff.
It is. There's secret handshakes and everything.
Yeah, geez. Mr. Harper, he's the manager at Mid-America Dragway. He says, I'll turn the scoreboards off for testing.
That would be helpful for me. But we got to get that red one and white one lined out. If we ain't got to worry about that blue car.
I agree. I like that idea. That's it on the comments there.
All right.
We are commented out pretty much.
Enjoyed it, fellas.
Hey, we appreciate you coming on. And, it was great seeing you again at PRI, hanging out with you there for a little bit. And we'll definitely see you this year racing around York City, Texas, Ozark, wherever it will be. But
looking forward to it, guys.
Thanks for helping us with those pictures, telling those great stories. Everybody knows about Derrick, Kelly, and Bam Bam. So appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank y'all for having me. Gary, y'all need anything, y'all let me know.
We will, for sure.
All right.
We'll holler at you. Derrick, thanks for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Always great talking to you. All right. We're going to let you go.
Too.
All right. See you, Derrick. Thank you.
All right. See you next.
All right. Great show, Gary. Just want to close to say, everybody here on the podcast still with us, please go to our YouTube channel and like, subscribe, go to Heads Up Racing, Gary and HotRod podcast. We appreciate that. We got our 300 subscriber over the weekend. And so we're starting to put some little reels and little shorts on and that sort of thing. We're trying to give you a weekly update every week, just show you our progress, what's going on. And I think everybody knows my car's over at Fox Bod Racing, and I get to bring it home, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Pretty soon. Yep.
And so super excited about that. And we'll go from there. So one last thing, just kind of looking ahead. So next week we'll come back next Sunday, 7 p.m. again. And we're going to bring on another racer you guys know. It's going to be a drag and drive person. And so Tina and David Pierce are coming in to talk to us about a little drag and drive. And so I know Gary's done this in the past. I've never done a drag and drive, but apparently you drag and then you drive. Yeah. And then you drag and then you drive. And then Gary told me that sometimes in between you work on them too. So that'll be a lot of
stuff sometimes.
Yeah, right. So I'm excited to see that. I first seen Tino and Street Outlaws back in the day, season 1, and then at Armageddon and actually racing some small tire things. They were there as well when she had the truck, and she had the Chevy too at PRI, and they ran up and knew Gary from, ways back. And so, we asked them to come on and they said, without a doubt. And so we're going to talk about some drag and drive and some good times there. So
they do drag and drive. They do, they do some bracket racing stuff. They'll race top sportsmen with, the Chevy too. And, I think they've done some top sportsmen with maybe the maroon truck. I don't remember for sure, but they've kind of dabbled into a lot of different style of racing, and they've got some cool stories for sure.
You bet. That'll be awesome. It'll be a lot of fun and get those stories from them. Not only, I think there's more stories about the drive than the drag. It sounds like, what I mean?
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So that'll be a good time. Just things that happen along the way, and then just keep looking ahead. We talked to the Titans team, if you will. We talked to Al and Larry talking about them coming on. We know that Arc City is going to be having their first event. March 16th will be a no prep event.
Yep.
And so we'll probably have a few no prep guys on before that event. And I know they're also, Harper's reached out and let us know there'll also be some testing before then, and no prep style testing for those style of racers. And so just hit the Harpers up on their page and they'll be able to set up anything you want there. But that's all I got. Last little shout out just to our sponsors. Keep this thing going. Without them, we wouldn't be doing this, or we would, but it just costs more money. And so appreciate that for them guys, and just keep growing our page. Go to our YouTube channel and subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll keep hitting you with reels and shorts and videos, and keep updating you every week until the race season gets going.
Yep.
If you guys could think of anything, just hit us up on our messenger. Go ahead, Gary.
One more question came here. This is Gary. What transmission fluid do you run for a drag and drive? I know John Deere fluid was brought up last week. That is the fluid that I use also, which used to be Caterpillar fluid. I now use the John Deere stuff per Marty Chance. So when your converter guy says use this, you use this.
Yeah, better listen to him.
Yeah,
that's great. Good question.
All
right, Gary, good show.
Yes, that was fun. Derrick was great. Lots of good info. I can't wait to get him, get his hands on my laptop and get some stuff sorted out.
Absolutely.
Maybe accelerate the progress a little faster rate than I've had in the past. And that's kind of a no-brainer. So it'll be great to have him hands on a little bit.
Agree.
Yes.
Not only just with the laptop, but just looking the whole thing over,
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
Just good. Just nice to see that give back to the racers, that like he struggled back in the day. Just keep everybody's program going.
Yep. Good stuff.
All right. Well, thanks again. We'll see everybody next week. Thank you.
Somebody says, great show. Thank you. And I kind of thought this would be our longest one yet with Derrick, and it was.
Yeah.
A lot of fun stuff. So
good.
All right.
All right.
I'm ready to get out. All right.
We'll talk to
See you, Rod. 5. All right. Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.